Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our UC Berkeley virtual visit here today. We're excited to have you joining us, and we'll get started. My name is Kara, and I use the she, her, and hers pronouns. I'm going to be your moderator for today. I'm from Valencia, California, which is down in SoCal. It's only a quick hour flight away from the Bay, which is great. I'll be going into my senior year in the fall, and I'm studying media studies and sociology. Outside of my academics, I'm involved in the UC Rally Committee, which is a spirit group here on campus. We wave flags on the football field and we fire a cannon whenever our team scores, which is really exciting. I'm also involved in Greek life. I'm in a social sorority. I'm in the Business Careers and Entertainment Club, or BCEC, where we bring in members of the entertainment industry to kind of tell us about their lives so that we can see if we're interested in that as well. I'm also a lifeguard on campus and have an off-campus internship at a wine PR company. That's a little bit about me, but now we'll go into some housekeeping for our tour today. This is going to be a 45-minute presentation, and you can type all of your questions into that Q&A function you see on your screen. We'll also be launching some polls throughout the tour, so as you're learning about us, we can also learn a little bit about you. This is being recorded, and there are other versions available on our website that you can check out after the tour. This is going to be a campus overview from the student perspective. So we don't have any admissions or financial aid information. Those are different departments that we can direct you to if that is more of what you are looking for. And we'll end with a live Q&A with our presenters today, and we'll do our best to answer all of the questions you have. Just put them right in that Q&A and we will be ready to answer them. With that, I'll pass it off to our presenters for today.
Thank you, Kara. Hi, everyone. My name is Greg. I use the pronouns he, him, and his, and I'm from Tiburon, California, which is a little town right across the bay from Berkeley. That's where I'm coming to you from this morning. I'm going to be a junior in the fall, so my third year here at Berkeley, which is just insane. It feels like yesterday I was a freshman. I'm a mechanical engineering major with a concentration in aerospace engineering. And outside of that major, I'm involved in the UC Rally Committee, just like Kara, and the Undergraduate Astronomy Society, which is just basically a big group of people that love talking about things that are new in space. And I'm also a Cal Alumni Association scholar. And here is Emily.
Thank you, Greg. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am from Auburn, California, which is a little mountain town in between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe. I'm also about to be a junior, which, like Greg said, is crazy to think that I'm halfway through my experience at Berkeley. I've loved it so far, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of my next 2 years here. I am majoring in molecular and cell biology. My concentration is infectious disease, which is super exciting. And outside of being a campus ambassador in academics, I am involved in Greek life. I am on the ASUC Mental Health Commission, which is a student group that advocates for better mental health resources and conversations around campus. I am also a member of a Christian fellowship here on campus, and I just finished my EMT training. So I'm about to start working in the community as an EMT. And right now I'm doing research at UCSF in a cancer lab. That's where I'm coming at you from right now.
So I'd like to welcome all of you officially to Berkeley this morning, at least virtually. You should see a poll popping up on your screen asking who are you, whether you're some level of high school student, community college student, somebody else. We just like to know who we're giving the tour to this morning so that we can better tailor our tour to you and our Q&A later on. By the way, that Q&A is very important. So if you have any questions at all about this tour or anything you'd like to know about Berkeley, please do ask us in the chat, and either we'll answer live or somebody on the back end will be able to type an answer for you. Now, while you're answering that poll, you can look at a couple of our more famous campus landmarks. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen, Memorial Glade with the Campanile in the background. That is a grassy area kind of in the middle of campus that students love to hang out on, love to go study or play guitar or have lunch at, and it's a really beautiful place to spend a sunny day. You can see in the middle of your screen, Sturdy the Bear. He is the largest of our bear statues on the campus up by our stadium, which you can see in the top left, where our football team and lacrosse team and several other of our athletic teams play. That is one of my favorite days of the year, is a football game day in Berkeley. It's just a really neat experience. And then down in the lower left, you'll see our 150W logo, which represents 150 years since women were admitted to the University of California, which is an anniversary that we celebrated just a couple of years ago. So we're very proud of that and look forward to another 150 years of great education.
All right, I'm going to go over the agenda for today. Thank you everyone for answering to the poll. Looks like we have a lot of high school seniors and college application season is coming up. So I'm really excited that you guys are considering Berkeley. I love it here and I'm really excited to share my love of it with you guys. So we're going to start with an overview of Berkeley, and then we're going to go into academics, which is something that everybody's interested in, I'm sure. Housing and dining, health and safety, student resources, student life, athletics, libraries and research, and then remote learning, which UC Berkeley just announced that the majority of its classes are going to be in person next semester. So hopefully that's not going to be relevant anymore because I am, for one, very excited to get back on campus.
I will absolutely second that. I mentioned that I love game days, and that's just one part of the student experience that I adore about Berkeley. So I'm very excited, like Emily, to get back to that in the fall. So a little bit of history about our campus. We were founded in 1868 as the first University of California campus. And because of that, we go by a couple of different names. You might hear us referred to as Berkeley, Cal, maybe for the athletic teams, or just the University of California, because we were the first campus, and so we retain that name. Our mascot is the Golden Bears, represented by Oski the bear, who you can see in the upper left-hand corner there. He is a lovable, just huggable, wonderful bear that roams around campus kind of in his own free will, and you'll see him or play rock, paper, scissors, or give him a high five, and it's just always a great time when Oski's there. We are a large campus. We have about 31,000 undergraduate students and about 11,500 graduate students. So there's a lot of people here at Berkeley, but there are definitely ways to make it feel smaller and make it have your own group of people that you really connect with. Some of our historical landmarks are in these pictures as well. You'll see that lovely drone shot of the Campanile that I mentioned in an earlier slide, and that is one of our most recognizable landmarks. It is the third largest clock and bell tower in the world, and really kind of looks over the entire Berkeley area, and you can stand at the top of that and see most of the Bay Area. It's a wonderful view. You'll see Sproul Hall and Sproul Plaza in the bottom left, and Sather Gate, which is the gateway to Sproul Plaza, in the bottom right. And those are kind of the central areas of campus where students gather and talk about projects they're working on or clubs that they're trying to get people to join. And it's just kind of the main hub of student life.
All right, now I get to talk a little bit about campus culture. A lot of people ask what word that we would use to describe Berkeley students as a whole, and the one that we have selected as campus ambassadors is change makers. There are a ton of change makers on campus. I think that's something that really unites Berkeley students as a whole. I have friends that are working in research that were working in labs during COVID-19. I have a friend that just got published for her research, my roommate. And I also have a friend who just did a presentation on her research with plants and plant biology, which is really cool, at a conference this summer. Berkeley students challenge the status quo. We are the home of the free speech movement on college campuses. Back in the 60s, students weren't allowed to speak freely about politics on campus, and UC Berkeley students rallied together to fight for that right, and eventually they did secure that right. That's what you'll see in the top right-hand corner is some of the free speech protests that are going on. And yeah, Berkeley is the hub for a lot of amazing change, whether it's political, scientific, or other social movements. Berkeley students are not afraid to speak up for what they believe in. And I think that's a really beautiful part of the University of California campus that we have.
Here you can see a couple more photos representing different aspects of Berkeley's culture. Down in the bottom right there, you can see a robot done for a Mars rover competition by the Cal Division of the American Institute for Aeronautics and Astronautics a couple years back. You can see our UC Rally Committee and Oski in the upper right there, getting ready for a rally. And then in the two left-hand pictures, I always love pointing this out, those are both taken in the exact same place, but showcase two very different but important aspects of Berkeley culture. One is our student voice, that we have very passionate students that are, love to talk about things that are important to them and make sure that people understand that there are issues in the world that need our help. And as Berkeley students, we have the ability to actually make that change. And then in the bottom left, you can see our rally committee, band, cheer, dance teams, and just putting on a spirit rally before a game or during Cal Day, and really getting into that Berkeley spirit, showcasing our campus pride, and that both of these things can coexist in the exact same location.
Yeah, so as we've been talking about before, Berkeley is a huge proponent of change in the world. Our university has been involved in a lot of different research and technology developments, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. If you will look at the bottom right-hand photo, that is a picture of Jennifer Doudna, who just won the 2020 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for her work in CRISPR gene editing. But she also helped develop a saliva test for COVID-19 so that you wouldn't have to get the swab stuck up your nose. I was actually part of that trial, so it's kind of cool to think that I participated in something so cool and groundbreaking. But yeah, there's a lot of research and innovation that happens on campus. It's really easy for students to get involved in research in campus. Like I mentioned before, Berkeley students are also really passionate about advocacy and social justice. And yeah, it's just makes me super, super grateful to be a part of such a incredibly vibrant campus community.
All right, we're going to jump into some academic information, starting with an overview of our 5 undergraduate colleges. These are the College of Letters and Science, the Rouser College of Natural Resources, the College of Environmental Design, College of Chemistry, and the College of Engineering. You should be seeing a poll pop up on your screen asking you what you're interested in. So we'll get more into depth in each of these colleges and that represent each of these subjects that are on the poll in a minute. One thing that we'd like to point out about applying to these colleges versus transferring between them once you're at Berkeley is that the College of Chemistry and the College of Engineering are much more difficult to transfer into once you're at Berkeley. And so we highly recommend, if you're interested in a major that's in the College of Chemistry or the College of Engineering, that you apply directly into these colleges as an incoming student. The College of Letters and Science, Natural Resources, Environmental Design are easier to transfer between once you're at Berkeley. So if you're in a Letters and Science major and decide after taking some classes that you feel like a major in the College of Natural Resources would be better for you, then you can transfer between those without too much hassle. So that's something that we like to point out. And it looks like we have a lot of people who are interested in biological sciences and physical sciences on this tour, some engineers, chemists, arts and humanities, social sciences, really kind of the whole breadth of everything. So great to see all the different things that people are interested in, and we're going to get right into it.
All right, we get to start out with the College of Letters and Science. This is the college that my major falls in. This is the largest college actually at Berkeley, with 3/4 of the undergraduate population. They have majors in everything from social sciences to humanities to biological sciences. So almost anything you're interested in, you'll be able to find it in the College of Letters and Science. There are 5 divisions within the College of Letters and Science, like I mentioned before. We have arts and humanities, biological sciences, mathematical and physical sciences, social sciences, and other undergraduate studies. My favorite part about the College of Letters and Science is the 7-course breadth requirement. These are classes that you have to take outside of your major in order to kind of give that liberal arts college feel without or with all of the resources of a large public university like Berkeley. So I came in expecting to only really enjoy my hard STEM classes. I am a big math and sciences person, and I wasn't super into the humanities or social sciences, but my current favorite class that I've ever taken at Berkeley was an introductory sociology course that I took as one of my breadth requirements last semester. It was super, super interesting. I absolutely loved the small discussions that we had about all of these topics that we were learning about. And yeah, it was one of my favorite classes that I've ever taken at Berkeley. And it really makes me grateful for the 7-course breadth requirements, because I probably would have never ended up in a sociology class otherwise. So yeah, there's also a lot of research and innovation that happens within the College of Letters and Science. We'll touch on that a little bit later. And 17 out of the university's 25 Nobel Prizes have been won by professors within the College of Letters and Science.
Yes, I have also taken some breadth classes in the College of Letters and Science, one of which was a fun one that was politics and science fiction, which I just really enjoyed that class. And I love that you can find those niche elements that, just a couple people are interested in, but they're really interested in it. All right, moving on to our next college, the Rouser College of Natural Resources. This college has our most environmental focus on campus, and it has majors in biological sciences, nutrition and toxicology, ecosystem management, interdisciplinary studies, social sciences, and economics and policy. It does have also a sustainability and social justice focus, kind of like Emily was talking about earlier on. That's a focus of the larger Berkeley campus as well. And their motto is see the bigger picture, make a better world, which I think really does a great job of encapsulating what this college is all about. They're, looking at the world's problems and seeing how they can make our planet run better. You can see a couple of images of nature on campus and the Li Ka-shing building, which is one of the places that you'll take classes in the College of Natural Resources. You can also go talk to advisors around this area. And one of the things that people in the College of Natural Resources tell me is that they absolutely love the advising staff and getting to talk with their faculty and their advisors about what's going on research-wise, what's going on with classes, and that they really love talking to the faculty and staff in the College of Natural Resources.
All right, now we're going to touch a little bit on the College of Environmental Design. My freshman year roommate was actually in this college, and so I've gotten a little bit of exposure to it, and it is super, super cool. This is the smallest college. There's only about 650 students within it, so it is a really good, tight-knit community. Like I mentioned before, my roommate absolutely loves being in the College of Environmental Design, the people that she's gotten to meet, the classes she's gotten to take. It's all very, very hands-on. I'm actually planning on taking a class within this college next year or next semester, and I am super, super excited. So there are 4 majors within this college. There's architecture, landscape architecture, urban studies, and sustainable environmental design. The building that houses the College of Environmental Design is called Worcester Hall. You will see a moving photo of it in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. This is built in a brutalist style, and it's actually built like sustainably. There are these like kind of roofs or like awnings over each of the windows that keep the building cool during the day and then warm as the temperature outside cools down overnight. So yeah, it's a super, super cool building. I absolutely love studying in the library there. There's tons of exhibits and stuff going on inside. And then you'll see in the top left-hand or the left-hand picture is the top 5 floors of the building. It's kind of made to look like a dragon from the side, but those are all dedicated to studio spaces for each of the students within the College of Environmental Design to build their models for their classes. Like I mentioned before, the classes are very hands-on. And the motto for this college is craft ecologically sustainable and resilient, prosperous and fair, healthy and beautifully built environments. And I think that really encapsulates the vibe of the College of Environmental Design.
All right, next up is our College of Chemistry, which we always like to point out is ranked #1 in the world, both public and private schools. So we're very proud of that. Our College of Chemistry has about 1,000 students, so it's a little bit larger than the College of Environmental Design, but still not huge. It has 3 majors: chemistry, chemical engineering, and chemical biology. One thing we'd like to point out is that this is the only engineering major not in the College of Engineering. So if you're interested in chemical engineering, make sure to apply to the College of Chemistry and not the College of Engineering. And that's just because our College of Chemistry is fantastic, and we felt like that chemical engineering fit better in this college than the College of Engineering. The College of Chemistry has a large innovation and research focus. We've discovered 16 elements on the periodic table, either through work done on Berkeley's campus or up at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, which is attached to campus and managed by UC Berkeley for the US Department of Energy, including berkelium and californium, which you can guess how those got those names, which are, really fun little tidbits. Every time you look at the periodic table, you can say, oh, that's my school. One other thing that we like to, point out as a fun fact is that the Lewis dot structure, which you may have run across in your high school, community college, any chemistry class you've taken, you've probably seen the Lewis dot structure. That was developed by a professor of chemistry here at UC Berkeley, Professor Gilbert Lewis, who was teaching introductory chemistry, Chem 1A, and needed a better way to describe electron interactions in atoms to his students, and came up with the Lewis dot structure, and it's now taken off across the entire world. So that's something that we can also claim credit for and, think, oh, that's Berkeley when we see it.
All right, now to talk a little bit about our College of Engineering. This is another one of our impacted colleges, so you usually have to apply directly into the College of Engineering when you apply to Berkeley to declare one of its majors. The newest program that it offers is the MET program, which we'll touch on a little bit later, but it combines a degree with the Haas School of Business with a degree from the College of Engineering to do a management, entrepreneurship and technology major. Super awesome. Everybody that I know in this college absolutely loves it. And something that I like about the College of Engineering is that they also have the breadth requirements. So they, a lot of the courses that you'll take in the College of Engineering are very heavy technical courses. So in order to kind of give those students a little bit of a balance within their class schedules, they are also required to take the humanities and social science breadths. If you're interested in learning more about the College of Engineering, you're welcome to schedule a virtual engineering visit. It's separate from one of these tours, and you'll get to hear a little bit more about the student perspective in the College of Engineering, and you can find that the same place you signed up for this virtual visit.
Yes, I'm an engineering major. I might be biased, but I love the College of Engineering, and I highly recommend that you check out our virtual engineering visit if you're interested in that, because it is a great tour. I help give those as well, and they're really fun and go much more in depth about that college. All right, we're going to touch on our graduate schools. We have 9 of them: the Haas School of Business, the School of Education, the School of Information, Berkeley Law, the School of Social Welfare, the School of Optometry, the School of Journalism, the School of Public Health, and the School of Public Policy. One thing that we do like to point out is that these aren't all of your options for obtaining graduate degrees at Berkeley. We have lots of undergraduate departments that also offer graduate programs. For example, my home department, Mechanical Engineering, which is an undergraduate department, offers master's degrees and doctorates in mechanical engineering as well. So there are many options available for graduate studies here at Berkeley. One other thing that we like to point out is that some graduate schools offer undergraduate programs. For example, the Haas School of Business offers degrees in business administration and the global management program, which are for undergraduates, biology and business, which is an undergraduate degree, both in biology and a business degree at the same time. And like Emily talked about, MET. There's also minors available through several graduate schools like the School of Journalism or Public Policy. So there's tons and tons of overlap and options for both undergraduate and graduate students to get classes and minors and degrees in both of these areas. One other fun fact is that our newest graduate school, the School of Information, is housed in our oldest building, which you can see is South Hall in the bottom right-hand corner there. That was the first building constructed on Berkeley's campus in 1873, and it's still standing today and is leading the way in innovating for our newest school.
All right, now you guys are probably wondering about structure and class sizes since we are such a large university. The majority of our classes are actually pretty small. 81% of the classes have fewer than 50 students. So there's a lot of opportunity for one-on-one interaction with your instructor. The majority of the large introductory, like undergraduate lectures, such as my introductory chem class, it'll be structured in 2 ways. The first is there will be a large lecture. That's the classic lecture hall with the little professor sitting on a stage full of like a sea of students, where the professor will present you the information. And then a couple times a week, you will have a discussion section with with a graduate student within that department called the GSI, Graduate Student Instructor, who will lead a discussion of just a couple of students. I think it's like ranging from 25 to 30 usually. And that kind of gives you an opportunity to interact a little bit more with the material. I personally really love my discussion sections. I've had a lot of really awesome GSIs that have written me letters of recommendation for internships. And so it's a really good way to kind of get that one-on-one interaction with some staff or with a graduate student within maybe an area that you're interested in. We have a 19-to-1 student faculty ratio, which is really awesome. Again, really large, like public university, and Berkeley still makes an effort to make sure that each student is heard and has the opportunity to really understand the material that they're learning. And then resources for students. My personal favorite is the Student Learning Center, also known as the SLC. It is located near our student union, right on Sproul Hall. So it's like a very busy hub on campus, but they offer like free tutoring with a student that has already taken the class that you are taking. You can just go in and out as you please during the business hours. I spent a lot of time in the Student Learning Center. I've made a couple of my closest friends at Berkeley in the Student Learning Center that I still study with to this day. I'm taking an organic chemistry lab this summer, and one of my friends that I met in the Student Learning Center is also taking that class, and we're studying for it together. And they also adapted this Student Learning Center online during the COVID-19 pandemic. So I went in for help with writing for essays for my psych class in the fall. And yeah, it's just a really awesome resource. And then there's also individual advising. Your advisor should be accessible all the time. Drop-in advising is easily accessible. Yeah, lots of awesome resources there.
All right, we're going to do a little bit of a quick recap about last year, the fall and spring semesters 2020 through 21. So they were fully remote, and we had some hybridization goals. If we could bring some students back on campus and have like the smaller discussion sections and labs that Emily talked about in person, but have lectures online. And that didn't end up happening because of where the pandemic was. So we stayed almost fully remote the entire year last year. We had a couple of different things that helped make the academic experience online just that much better, which were Zoom Pro, which helped students not only attend classes, like we're all using our Zoom accounts right now to give you this tour, but also to connect with each other online and hold, face-to-face or screen-to-screen meetings with each other without time limits, and be able to continue holding club meetings and that kind of thing. So that was a great tool for all of us to be able to use. There was also a distinction made between synchronous and asynchronous learning. So a lot of your classes might have lectures that happened at the scheduled times, like they would if you were in a lecture hall, like we're all giving a presentation to you live right now, while some of your other classes or some other parts of those classes would have recorded sections that you would just be able to watch on your own time. So that made it easy for students to fit into their schedules when they could, get classwork done. It also was extremely helpful for students not in the Pacific time zone to be able to still get that class experience without having to wake up at 2:00 in the morning to take their lecture or something. So those are tools that were developed virtually across the entire campus. We also had resources like Emily talked about, go online, like the Student Learning Center. There was virtual drop-in tutoring through that, as well as tutoring available through major departments and college level advising. There was stuff that I could go to as an engineering major for my engineering classes. And then there was something that we like to talk about called Semester in the Cloud, which was a project that took some larger classes that lots of students need for their majors and turned them into fully online classes that were broadcast live via like a YouTube live stream and had online interactive quizzes and projects and things like that. So they were classes designed from the ground up to be given online. And I took one of those as a chemistry class, and it worked out really well. I don't have a whole lot of information about what the coming semester will look like. We've been told, like Emily and I believe Kara mentioned, that we're looking at an almost 100% in-person fall semester. That, of course, will evolve and change as new guidance comes out from the CDC and local health authorities. But we're hopeful that we'll be able to get back on campus and get this in-class experience and in-person extracurriculars as well.
All right, awesome. So now we're going to talk a little bit about housing and dining. Berkeley offers 7 main freshman residence halls, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Foothill, Clark Kerr, Blackwell, and Stern. You should see a poll popping up on your screen so we can get a little bit of an idea where you're joining us from, since we're talking about housing. Freshmen do get priority when applying for housing. The university obviously can't guarantee anything, but over the last 3 years, every freshman that has put any dorm, any room, which is what we recommend as their last choice when ranking their dorm choices, has received a housing offer. Within the residence halls, we also have a ton of resources to kind of help ease that transition from living at home to living on your own. Each residence hall is equipped with a resident assistant, which is an older student that will kind of be a buddy for you, helps run events on your floor or within your building. The RAs are a super great resource. They are trained by the university and are kind of there for you for anything that you might need, or they're able to direct you to a resource that you might need. There are also theme programs that are within the residence halls. Personally, in the residence hall that I lived in my freshman year, we had a unity floor for students that identified as LGBT. It's just really great to live with other students that share a same identity. There was a Women in STEM program, an African American theme program, and all of that information can be found on our housing website. And then a meal plan is included within any residence hall, any room that you live in on campus. We have a bunch of dining halls all over campus. You don't have to eat at the dining hall that's closest to yours. Your meal swipes will work at any of the dining halls on campus. So I personally really enjoyed going around to all the different dining halls. There's like a little app that you have on your phone that can tell you what dining hall is serving what on any given day. And so I would pick out which one looked the most appetizing to me, and I would go to that dining hall. Within the COVID-19 pandemic, Berkeley adjusted their housing options a little bit. All of the dorm rooms were single rooms. Face masks were required when you weren't living with your social, or when you weren't in a common area for your social pod, which is usually your floor. And I think that they did a really great job of controlling the spread of COVID-19, but hopefully that won't have to be an issue for very much longer.
All right, a little bit about housing after your freshman year. So if you're a transfer student, or if you're a continuing student like a sophomore or junior like Emily and I are, you have these options for housing. There's on-campus housing. You can apply to live in the dorms again, or in one of the suites or apartment style dorms that we have that are owned and operated by the campus. There's International House, which you can see in the upper left corner there, which is a beautiful, beautiful building that I've spent a little bit of time in. They have some really fantastic food. They have interesting talks that they have like an auditorium that have interesting people come and talk and, talk about research or whatever they're doing. And they have a lot of international students that live in this building. There are several affiliated properties that you can rent housing through that are not actually owned by the university, but have an agreement with them and rent to Berkeley students. There are off-campus apartments that you can just rent through a third party, not associated with the campus at all. There are tons and tons of apartments, houses, buildings, whatever, all around the city of Berkeley. A lot south of campus, some north of campus, some west of campus. East of campus is all the national labs, so not up there, but there's a lot of apartments available. There's co-op housing, which is the Berkeley Student Cooperative. That's actually where I'm living next year. That's where there are, in the co-op houses, you have lots of different people all living in the same house, helping to cook meals together and, help out around the house. There are also apartments, which are a little bit more granular. You have a couple people in an apartment with a kitchen, and then you help out around the apartment complex. And that is in exchange for reduced rent. And then, of course, there's Greek housing. If you're in Greek life and your organization has a house, in the city of Berkeley, you can apply to live with them and, live with your co-organization people. All of these different housing options, you can purchase a meal plan through Cal Dining. Even if you're not living in an on-campus dorm anymore, that option is still available to you. If you don't want to deal with cooking and shopping and everything for yourself, you can still, come on to campus or go to one of the dorms or, the one that you stayed in your first year and go swipe in and have a meal provided by Berkeley. Any more information you'd like about housing options for freshmen or for continuing students or transfer students or anyone else, please visit housing.berkeley.edu. They have walkthroughs of these buildings. They have all sorts of information about pricing and how this will all work. So I highly recommend checking them out.
All right, now I'm going to touch a little bit on health and safety. Our University Health Service Center is known as the Tang Center. They have urgent care, primary care, physical therapy, anything you might need, and it's located right off campus. I think it only took me like 5 minutes to walk there from that say their gate. So yeah, super, super close to campus, very convenient. All students are required to have health insurance. The university health insurance is called SHIP. It's the Student Health Insurance Program, but you can also choose to waive the SHIP health insurance if you have your own insurance and you're able to provide proof of that. They offered free COVID testing and tracing to students during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was super awesome. They had multiple locations. I currently live pretty close to the Memorial Stadium. They had a location there. I would go 3 times a week, just walk in, self-swab in the morning after my morning classes, and walk out, and then I'd have my results on my little portal, my student portal, within 2 to 3 days. Super awesome, super convenient. They also offer psychological counseling, Path to Care, which is our student helpline for sexual assault. The Optometry Eye Center is also a really cool resource. You can get eye exams and other optometry services through our School of Optometry. Optometry students are the ones that are usually performing those exams, which is super, super awesome. And then for stress relief, I want to touch a little bit on the Llama-Palooza, which you'll see in the top right-hand corner. During normal non-pandemic times, our students will bring therapy llamas onto Memorial Glade, which Greg mentioned a little earlier, is kind of like our quad/central student hangout area on campus. And you can get a selfie with the llama during reading our RRR week, which is our kind of week where there's no classes, just for studying before finals. So you can get a little selfie with a llama, hang out on the glade, pet some cute animals, and it's a really great stress reliever to go into finals week with.
Absolutely. I am looking forward to bringing the llamas back to campus. I did not end up getting to take a picture with them my first year, and I very much regret that. So hopefully we'll see the llamas again soon. Moving on to some campus safety services, we have, of course, our UC Police Department, which is headquartered right in the center of campus and can get to pretty much anywhere on campus within a couple of minutes. So if you need assistance, you can call them either on your phone or through one of these blue light poles that you can see a picture of in the bottom left-hand corner. That's only a snippet of it. There is, of course, a blue light on top, hence the name. And all of those poles are just absolutely everywhere on campus. You can pretty much stand anywhere you want and turn in a circle and you'll spot at least one of them. So they're everywhere. They're very easily accessible. They have just an emergency assistance button that you can press if you need it, or they have a phone pad that you can dial specific numbers for calling one of the night safety shuttles or for calling UCPD specifically. That's all, very easily laid out on those devices. We have Warn Me, which is a text-based notification system that helps alert the Berkeley community to things happening on or near campus. If there's police activity somewhere, or if there's a fire alarm going off in a building, the text message will get sent out saying, avoid this building, and then it'll get cleared, once they turn off the alarm and that kind of thing. So that helps, keep our campus community safe. And it is a really neat system. They don't inundate you with absolutely everything. If you get a message, pay attention to it because it is probably important. We also have our residence hall 3-point security system. So that's being able to, give you peace of mind that when you're in your dorm, you're going to be safe. That's realized by having you swipe into the front door to actually get into the lobby, checking in at the front desk, being able to swipe a key fob or something to get up the elevator or the stairwell, and then actually having your key to get in your dorm room. So there's many different layers of security there so that you can feel safe and secure at night in your dorm. Our night services include the night safety shuttle, which I mentioned briefly that you can call by the blue light poles. You can also just call that from your own phone. And that is a shuttle service that runs from dusk until 3 a.m. that picks up from several locations around campus and then takes you to preset drop-off points around the city of Berkeley, mostly near the dorm areas. And then after 3 a.m., it turns into a door-to-door shuttle service. So you can get picked up anywhere on campus and then dropped off exactly where you live. And that's just if you are, look at the time, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I was studying for my midterm exam and whoops, I would like somebody to take me home. That is definitely possible. If you don't want the shuttle, you can call Bear Walk, which is a service provided by the UC Police Department that uses trained student campus community service officers that have big bright yellow vests and radios that will come to anywhere on campus and walk you back home, so that if you feel like you don't want to walk home alone or just want somebody to talk to, that is definitely an option. I have several friends that are CSOs that do Bear Walk, and they're all fantastic people. And, please don't hesitate to use these services if you feel like you need them. They're there for a reason, just to make you feel better. And they're definitely good at that.
All right, now I'm going to talk a little bit about student resources. A lot of these resources are located in our Cesar E. Chavez Student Center, which is located on Sproul Hall, kind of that central hub that I mentioned before. That's where the Student Learning Center that I love so much is located. So there are a lot of different resources for identity groups, community groups, all that type of stuff. We have centers for educational justice and community engagement. The ASUC, or the Associated Students of the University of California, is our student government. There are a lot of different groups within that large organization that are fighting for better resources for students all across the board. Like I mentioned before, I'm on the Mental Health Commission, so I work a lot with the Tang Center to advocate for better mental health resources on campus. We have our Transfer Students Center, which kind of helps transfer students adjust to life at Berkeley, because that is a smaller community than our freshman admits. And then we also have an Undocumented Students Center, which connects undocumented students with resources, anything they might need. We also have a Disabled Students Program. I'm currently registered with that organization. It is a liaison between the student and their professor. It's really good at communicating needs of each student to the professor. So whether that be extended time on tests, assistance with note-taking, deadline extensions, all of that good stuff, they will triage you based on your disability and help get the resources that you need to succeed. And then we also have our Basic Needs Center, where students can access household resources such as food, household supplies, and they can come and take what they need, no questions asked. So Berkeley does a really good job of supporting their students, no matter what their identity or need might be. And there are many, many more resources than listed on this slide. If you're interested in any particular one, just do a quick Google search and it'll all pop up for you.
Yeah, I want to emphasize one specific thing on the last slide that Emily said, which was the Disabled Students Program. I'm registered with them as well, and I found it very helpful through my time at Berkeley. So if you feel like you might need academic accommodations or would like to talk to somebody about that, please do get in contact with them. They're very friendly people, and I highly recommend taking advantage of the services they have to offer. Moving on to student life, non-academic things that we do on campus. There are over 1,000 registered student organizations on campus. We listed a couple that we were a part of, in our introduction slides. There's just an incredible diversity of organizations to join and, be a part of and see what people are interested in. And if for some reason there isn't the organization that you're looking for in the over 1,000 RSOs that we have on campus, it's reasonably easy to create your own, get a group of people together that have those same interests as you, register with the ASUC, and make your own student club and keep that going for years to come. There's volunteering opportunities both on and off campus. I know people that volunteer at the Berkeley student farm, planting things, tending farms. There's all sorts of stuff like volunteering at the food pantry to help students and community members get food. All of that is readily accessible. There's campus employment opportunities. We, Emily, myself, Kara, all the ambassadors on the back end who've been answering your Q&A questions, or all campus employees. We do get paid to do this. And there's lots and lots of on and off campus jobs that are available to students. And we have a career center that helps students connect with those opportunities. There are internship opportunities in the area because we are so close to Silicon Valley and San Francisco. So there's lots and lots of companies, both in the tech world and not in the tech world, that are looking for interns and know that Berkeley provides the absolute best people. So we can assure you that those opportunities are out there, and we have departments on campus and internship fairs and things that help connect students with those opportunities. There are study abroad programs, which people often take in their second semester of their junior year, but it's not a hard and fast rule. And you can go and study in another country at another university, take classes that count for Berkeley credits, but also expose you to other cultures. And I have several friends that are going to be hopefully going abroad and taking advantage of that. And there's just so much that the Bay Area has to offer. The Bay Area is a wonderful, beautiful place. I have grown up here and I adore it. So please, come over to Marin County, see all the, beautiful hiking and nature, go into San Francisco, experience the wonderful food options and, beautiful views, stay in Berkeley and, go see all the fun stuff there is to do in Berkeley, food wise, recreation wise with the recreational sports facility. It's all there in the Bay Area. So highly recommend checking all that out.
All right, now I'm going to talk a little bit about athletics. I love our football team. I love watching football. I had no idea how it worked when I got here, but I quickly became a very big fan of our Cal Bears. So even during COVID-19, when they weren't allowing in-person spectators in the crowds, I still watched every single game on the sports channel. So very, very big fan of the Cal Bears. We have a lot of Division I athletics. We recruit students as athletes. And I think we have some really awesome sports teams. We also have club sports, which are those teams that you can try out for once you get to Berkeley. They still compete against other schools, but they're not as competitive as D1 athletics. And then we also have intramural/recreational teams where you can create a team with your friends or one of your organizations and compete against other organizations. So my sorority created a co-ed volleyball team with a fraternity. We also, my Christian fellowship also had an IM soccer team that they played against other Christian fellowships. So it was really, really cool. And it's just kind of going out, having fun and getting some exercise with friends. Our stadium is California Memorial Stadium. It's absolutely beautiful. Anytime people come and visit me at Berkeley from my hometown, I always take them on a drive up the Berkeley Hills, and they always comment on how beautiful the stadium is when we pass it. So I think it's a really, really great place to watch sports. And you can also see our little clock tower, the Campanile, from the student section in the stadium. So it's just a beautiful view anywhere you sit. We also have the recreational sports facility, also known as the RSF. That is our on-campus gym, our largest on-campus gym. And students are free to use that however much or however little they would like. I've taken some spin classes at like 5 a.m. At the gym, and I know a lot of people who do yoga or they just do their own workout routines, and there's a lot of equipment that is free for students to use. And Berkeley currently holds 207 Olympic medals. We produce a lot of really awesome athletes, and it's always fun to cheer on our Cal Bears, especially now that the Olympics are coming up. So yeah, love our athletics here.
All right, a couple of remote resources that we want to touch on for community building, so not academics related. There were lots of social media networks available to students that were taken advantage of by student clubs and organizations like Slack or some other ones that kept students connected over the remote space. I mentioned that clubs, a lot of them continue to have meetings and planned events in the virtual space. I know for the Undergraduate Astronomy Society, we held game nights where we played Among Us against each other, which was, always a good time. Or the rally committee, we planned virtual rallies that for homecoming and big game week and things like that. So there are lots of things that students in clubs continue to do in the virtual space. Major departments and campus departments held webinars for development opportunities, career internship opportunities, had guest lecturers come in and talk about interesting things that they were doing research-wise. So those were very, fun to watch. Those, I think, showed up on Facebook Live and on Berkeley's website. And then we had Golden Bear Orientation, which helped prepare incoming students for life at Berkeley. And that was held hybridly. I don't really know how to pronounce that word, in a hybrid space with virtual orientation activities. And we're still exploring what that'll look like for this coming fall semester.
All right, now I'm going to go over libraries and research. We have 24 official libraries on campus, which is awesome. My personal favorite is in the top left-hand corner. It's Doe Library. They have this huge reading room with this beautiful arched ceiling and all of this natural light pouring in, and these big wooden desks. It's super, super awesome. I feel like I'm at Hogwarts. It's a great place to study. And we also have a ton of volumes, 13 plus million volumes. So whatever you need, you'll be able to find it at Berkeley. If not, we have a system, an online library system where you can check out books from anywhere within the UC or Cal State University system. And we also have a ton of online resources. Our online book resource is called OSCE Cat. I've used it a lot for research for my reading and composition classes. Absolutely love it. And then within research, obviously we're a large research university. That was something that actually attracted me to Berkeley in the first place and ultimately helped me decide to attend Cal is our research. There is an undergraduate research apprenticeship program called URAP. That is the most streamlined way that you can apply to research, but I've also heard a lot of success stories that students get from cold emailing either professors. I cold emailed my lab here at UCSF, and I'm sure that a contributing factor to me getting this research position that I'm doing this summer is the fact that I am a Berkeley student. You get a lot of clout, for lack of a better word, by being a Berkeley student. And then within each department, there are a lot of opportunities for research. I know that our biggest research department is actually our history department, contrary to popular belief. But yeah, there's a lot of cool innovation and stuff happening on campus, and it's really easy for students to get involved. That is definitely one of my favorite parts about being a Berkeley student.
All right, because we're getting up towards our Q&A period, we're going to go through a couple of our famous alumni and professors. You can see Jennifer Doudna, who we mentioned earlier, won the 2020 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Alongside her, we had another professor emeritus, Reinhard Genzel, won the 2020 Nobel Prize in Physics. Beverly Cleary, who authored a just plethora of children's books. She was class of 1938 and recently passed away over 100 years old. We have Chris Pine, who was in Star Trek and Wonder Woman, Steve Wozniak, who co-founded Apple, Alex Morgan, who's going back to the Olympics. There are just tons and tons of Berkeley alumni who are making an impact all around the world.
Okay, and then I'll wrap up with a little bit about our campus highlights. There is a really great urban and rural mix. You've got San Francisco, just a BART ride away. I commute into the city every single day this summer, and I absolutely love exploring a new neighborhood after work every day. I just think it's super cool that Berkeley is situated in such a great area. Some of the best hiking in the Bay Area is right behind our campus in the Berkeley Hills. Our fire trails are beautiful and offer some really breathtaking views of the sunset over the bay. Yeah, there's just a lot to do around campus. I personally believe that we go to school in like the best area to go to school in the world. There's just so much to explore, and I still find new things to do every single weekend this summer. So yeah, I really love going to school here, in case you can't tell.
Thank you both so much for giving us that great tour. I learned a lot. I hope our audience also learned a lot. I have some questions for you now from the audience, which is really exciting. Emily, you touched on this a little bit earlier, but Greg, what is your favorite library?
That's actually a really tricky question because there are a lot of them and they're all, special in their own way. But I think probably the prettiest library is Doe Library, which is the one that you see across Memorial Glade that has the big Greek columns, and it says the University Library across the front. And it's just a very grand, impressive building that I think lends itself to the whole big research university, lots of, academic history here. So I really like, sitting in that library and looking out at the beautiful windows and being like, wow, this is a really neat place. But the niche one for me is the physics library, when I was taking a tour of the physics building on Cal Day as an incoming student, I just was walking around and stumbled across the physics library. And it's just a little like almost classroom sized library in the physics building. But right in the corner, there's a bust of Robert Oppenheimer. And I was just like, wow, right. He was a professor here. That was just a very like neat experience for me.
That's awesome. I think one of my goals before I graduate is to study in every single library at least once, just so I can get a feel for all of them. As we are wrapping up our tour today, I have one final question for the both of you, and that is, what is your Berkeley story? Why did you choose Berkeley, and what has led you to stay and enjoy all that Berkeley has to offer? Emily, can you tell us your Berkeley story first?
Yes, of course. So I am, like I mentioned before, from a really small mountain town in Northern California. My high school had a graduating class of 43 people, and I believe only one other person had gone to Berkeley ever from my high school, which happened to be one of my best friend's older sisters. So I had a little bit of mentorship, but I was mostly kind of charting uncharted waters, so to speak. A lot of people ended up going to really small private universities, but I really knew that I wanted to go to a place where there was lots of opportunity, lots of room for growth for me. And Berkeley really kind of checked all of those boxes for me. And as I arrived on campus as a little freshman, I remember just being so terrified because I knew nobody. But I was really afraid that I wouldn't make any friends. But that was quickly dispelled as soon as I started engaging in communities around campus. I made some of my best friends from orientation. One of them is a back-end ambassador on this tour right now. And I've just met so many cool people that I wouldn't have met otherwise, whether it's through my sorority, through some of the campus organizations that I'm involved in. Like I mentioned before, my Christian fellowship was a really great way for me to meet people with that shared my faith and to have conversations with them about that. The Mental Health Commission has been really great to work with other students who have similar passions as me. I met one of my best friends was my lab partner in my introductory to chemistry class. And now she's literally coming home with me this weekend. So it's really awesome that going to such a large university gives you the opportunity to meet so many different people from all walks of life, all over the world, all different backgrounds. And I think that's something that's really special to me about Berkeley is that, I sit down in my chemistry classes or my math classes and I think, wow, like some of these people that I'm sitting around, like I'm going to see them like do something really crazy and super cool within like science or innovation. And I'm going to tell my kids, oh my gosh, they were in like my math class freshman year. So I think that Berkeley's opportunities and the student body and profile that they admit is just, it really speaks to the goal of the university is to better the world through the education that they provide their students. I really love Berkeley, literally cannot speak more highly of it. And I'm really honored that I get to share my story with you guys.
That was fantastic. And I absolutely agree. I had a very different high school experience. I was a reasonably large high school, over 2,000 students, and we had a graduating class of like 460-ish. But I grew up in the Bay Area and always thought of Berkeley as like the ivory tower school across the Bay and did not think it was an option for me at all. Applied because I was applying to all the UC campuses and it was another box to check. And I was like, who knows? But didn't have any expectation of getting in. So when I did, it was like the shock of my life. And I was kind of thrown into a tailspin of trying to decide whether I should go here because I had actually already like decided to go to a different university. And I went through all sorts of research and looked at different programs that each school had to offer. And then I went to each of the admit days. I went to the other one, and then I came to Cal Day. And I was just utterly blown away by Berkeley. Every person that I talked to had some driving goal that they were really interested in. Didn't have to be engineering related. It was, history research project or something that they were passionate about. And I was overwhelmed by everyone that I met there and took a tour of the Space Sciences Laboratory on campus, which is literally like a spacecraft manufacturing facility that Berkeley operates, that we build satellites and stuff for NASA and other countries. And we have our own mission control on campus that runs those for NASA and other countries. And I was like, wow, this is really neat. And all throughout the day, that was basically what I kept repeating myself. And by the end of it, I was like, there's absolutely no way I can pass this up. So I ended up coming to Berkeley and met some very fantastic people here and joined the rally committee and just had a stupendous time my first year and continuing to do so. So I cannot highly recommend Berkeley enough.
Thank you both so much for sharing your Berkeley stories. I feel so inspired by both of you, and I'm so glad that you found such a great home here on our campus. That is all for our tour today, but I'll leave you with a couple of resources before we go. You can check out our UVisit tour, where it's more of a Google Map 360-degree view of some buildings around campus. You can also hear our chancellor speak. You can follow us on Instagram at Visit UC Berkeley to see more of what we're up to. If you have any more questions, you can email tour@berkeley.edu, and an ambassador just like one of us will answer any and all questions that you have. You can look at the Bear Talk blog to hear some more Berkeley stories that, like the ones Emily and Greg just shared with us today. And you can see other recorded virtual visits on our YouTube channel at Visit UC Berkeley. And you can see what we're doing to celebrate 150 years of women being accepted to our wonderful university at 150w.berkeley.edu. If you're looking for more of the admissions side, you can find the admissions presentation at admissions.berkeley.edu/visit. And you can register for other student ambassador panels and engineering visits at the same place you registered for this one. That's visit.berkeley.edu. I just want to say a great big thank you for attending our tour virtually today. I hope you learned a lot about Berkeley and that you're excited and will want to see more of what Berkeley has to offer. And another great tradition here on our campus is just saying "Go Bears" to anyone and everyone. So if Greg and Emily want to join me in a "Go Bears" on 3 to send off our visitors. 1, 2, 3, go Bears!
Go Bears!
Go Bears!
Have a good day.